This hangout is live.
Yeah.
All
So
right, cool. Well, welcome everybody. You know who I am. This is Brian, aka American in Taiwan. And today is a very, very special day because while this might be a live stream, it's not one of my typical live streams. I'm doing a Google Hangout with a new friend of mine who is a Canadian who is a Taiwan or a Taiwanese in Canada. I'm American in Taiwan, and he's Taiwanese in Canada. So I will let him introduce himself. I don't want to speak for him. So, Daniel, if you can.
yeah, thanks. Yeah, my name is Daniel. I was born and raised in Canada, Vancouver. My parents came from Taiwan in 1991, and when they were 30, when my dad was 30, and they they did all these, they scraped by to survive, and eventually they opened a little restaurant here, and that was around the time that I was born, and yeah, that's kind of a very short introduction of how I
Cool,
came.
cool. Very good, very good.
Yeah.
So just like for a bit of background, because I've told people all about me, but
Mhm.
you were not born in Taiwan, actually, were you?
No, I was born here.
Okay, so you were born in Canada, in Vancouver?
Yeah, pretty sure. I mean, I spent
Yeah.
most of I grew up in the city next to it called Burnaby, but I'm pretty sure I was born in Vancouver.
Okay, so well, we can just say British Columbia, right? That would be
Yeah,
accurate.
yeah.
Okay, cool, cool. And then I'm kind of curious, do you have dual citizenship or not?
That's a good question. Well, so I have my Canadian passport. Don't have any other passport.
Hmm.
I have heard that if I went back, I could possibly get a Taiwanese passport.
Yeah, I wonder if you could get that through descent, right?
Yeah, and I possibly could get some kind of citizenship where
Are your parents both still Taiwanese citizens, technically?
I have no clue. I know that they're obviously Canadian now, but
Right,
because
right, right.
my dad actually, we'll definitely talk about this either today or in future episodes. But my dad kind of lost faith in Taiwan completely.
Oh, wow. Okay, that would
Well,
be very interesting to talk about.
definitely. Well, we were talking about like the traffic issues and right, and then
Hmm.
he'd go off on like how he's disappointed having been here in Canada for 25, 28 years now. He he's seen how things are, like driving etiquette being one example, and he looks back into Taiwan and he's just like, oh, like the culture. Even not just comparing Taiwan with Canada, but even with how Taiwan was when he was growing up, he
Right, which
feels
is
like,
very different because
yeah,
he probably, well, no, not probably, he did grow up during the dictatorship, the martial law era,
yeah,
right? It was totally
yeah,
different from now.
absolutely. And it's interesting to hear you say like to. I think it might have only been you that I've heard it been referred to as a dictatorship and martial law because
Because it is. That's accurate.
yeah,
I say what I say, even though it pisses people off.
yeah,
I say what I say because it's accurate.
yeah,
I've gotten into a lot of arguments recently, like we were saying on Facebook.
yeah,
But you know what? The facts are the facts. It was a dictatorship. It was
yeah,
very cruel. It was very brutal, and it took people's human rights away, and
mm,
it reduced them to like animal status. And that's probably partly what your father had to deal with,
yeah,
when he was growing up.
yeah,
I don't know the backstory, but that
yeah.
was
We'll get into
probably
that.
the environment that was surrounding him. So
Yeah,
keep that in mind.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I've definitely heard. I don't know. I remember reading somewhere. It might have been. Uh, did you remember that news that I don't know that instance when there was these group of younger pro-Taiwanese independence, I don't know, activists that threw red paint on one of the
Oh, I
famous.
remember that one. They threw the red paint on the statue of Chiang Kai-shek.
Right,
in
right,
in a kind of like a protest, right? They didn't
right.
actually damage the statue itself, but they
Hmm.
threw the paint on there, and it was kind of symbolic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I think from that, I read a little bit about how, probably about the corruption of the KMT when it was only the KMT in Taiwan.
Hmm.
And it's interesting because my dad's dad, my grandpa, he is from mainland China.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
he was, I guess, enlisted in the KMT that went to Taiwan after World
So,
War II.
so ethnically, sorry, just to jump in, but so
Yeah.
ethnically, you're partly your family hails from originally from mainland China, right?
Just that. So my dad's dad is from mainland China. My dad's mom is from Taiwan, and my mom's parents are all from Taiwan. So
Okay. So
only
it's kind of there's kind of a mix between the native, if you want,
yeah,
Hoklo Taiwanese, and then there's these kind of mainlander Taiwanese as
yeah.
well.
So yeah, 1 out of 4 grandparents is from mainland China.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So that's where he came from, and my grandfather was like ruthless, like he physically abused my dad, like to
Wow. Okay,
like
so just like in his personal life, he was a hard man.
oh absolutely, like he even I think in Asian standards, because I know in the West we joke about, oh yeah, if you're Asian, you got beat by your parents growing up. But I think even Asian standards, my grandfather took it to a next level, to,
Really,
to a point where my dad would tell me like I think he took that metal sponge. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, like
like
in the
steel
washroom.
wool,
Steel
or
wool, exactly. I think
okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what my dad was referring to. He used that to beat my dad's hands to the point where there was like just puddles of blood in his hand. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Cheers. I don't
Cheers,
know.
cheers, everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
water.
Sorry. Just by the way to
Yeah, yeah.
put that in there. Check it out, everybody. Max. This is Max. This is from New Zealand, and I'm going to try it right here while Daniel carries on. Sorry, Daniel, carry on.
No problem. Yeah, so he there were instances where my grandfather just beat my father until he was just bleeding everywhere, and he would just continue on, you know. And there was another time when he was in the hospital. He got knifed, not because of my grandfather, but he got knifed at from some gangster wannabe from high school, and he was
Wow. Okay.
yeah, he was bleeding out, and he ended up in the hospital. And my grandfather came and saw him, and just started pounding on him in the hospital. Because and his rationale was
Damn, dude, that's intense. Are you
it's intense.
serious?
His rationale was, how dare you get in a fight at school? What kind of a hooligan did I raise?
Oh, okay.
And like
Jeez,
it's
though, that's an extreme response.
yeah, yeah. And he was like, the nurses and my grandmother was like, "What are you doing?" He's like
Yeah, this is
bleeding out.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
that's the kind of, like, I understand like how some Asians grew up in, like, there's this stereotypical being beat by your parents, but there's that.
Yeah, yeah, and gosh, you really you have to look at things in context, right?
Yeah,
I mean, like I was saying, you have to realize that that was your father's context, you know?
yeah,
So when he does the things that he does, it's probably because that had a significant effect on him, you know?
yeah.
So like I don't know anything about your father, but if it was me, then I would give some leeway, obviously, right?
Yeah,
While maintaining standards, of course, but
yeah,
like
yeah.
just giving some leeway or at least some understanding. Like,
Yeah, but
okay,
what the crazy thing is that after all that, and he's been, that those are just a couple of examples. There's, plenty more that I could tell you. But even after all that, after my dad, he was a machinist in Taiwan, and in middle school and high school. He went to a
was this during the 1980s?
he was born in 1962, so high school 16 would have been 1978.
Okay, so
So
late
late
70s.
70s, yeah.
Because Taiwan really started to take off, I think, in probably the 80s. was when it
That
really
was
started to take off,
yeah, yeah,
economically speaking.
yeah. And he went to a trades high school. So, you went to school and you also learned a trade, and he actually got a license. I think there might have been, I don't know, let's say there was 5,000 kids at that school. He was one, he was the three people out of that 5,000 students that got a certain degree of license
Hmm.
that everybody else didn't get. And so it's because of that license that he got to work. And because, those shops, they immediately, when he came to look for a job, he said, they told him, oh, we don't hire students, right? And then he pulled out that license that had like a higher standing than other licenses, and they were like, oh, okay, yeah, no, well, we'll take you. So you start tomorrow, essentially.
Wow, it changed everything, huh?
Changed everything. And so, he worked throughout high school, and by the time, after he did his military service and he came back, he was making more money than almost anybody in his circle, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
wow. See,
he was
that's something I
making,
can kind of relate to, right? Like,
yeah,
because even though me and a lot of people would say that the pay as an English teacher here is not good,
mm,
you still make significantly better than almost every Taiwanese young person who's just starting out.
oh man,
You
well,
make
yeah,
significantly more money than them per hour, at least, I would say.
that's good to
Right.
hear.
So I can kind of relate to that. So your father kind of like was kind of balling there, right? Like, right?
He totally was balling, but my grandfather came to Canada, and he was on vacation, and he had a couple friends here, and his friends were like, "Oh, why don't you move the family here?" And my grandfather was like, "I don't know anything about immigration," but then they were like, "Oh, it's really easy." It was really easy back in the early or in the 90s to immigrate to Vancouver.
Really?
Yeah.
Were the immigration laws really relaxed in Canada at that time?
At that time, first of all, it's not like Vancouver today. There was a lot less people here in Vancouver, and so I don't know if I would go so far as to say that they were really relaxed, but they were, a lot more relaxed than it is today. Let's just say. Um, and so they made that decision, and my grandfather made a phone call back to my dad. He said, "Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna quit whatever you're doing, start to learn how to cook, and you're gonna come here, and you're gonna move here, and you're gonna like live here for now on." And of course, even Taiwan today, you talked about like that Confucian culture of, you have to obey the elders. There's
Yeah,
not,
you have to kind of follow their direction, you know.
yeah, and it definitely would be worse like 40 years ago, right?
Sure.
And so my dad didn't even barely knew what Canada was. He had to look up a map and was like, what is Canada? What is this place called Canada? I know what the United States is, but I don't know what is this place called Canada, right? And he had to start from scratch. He didn't know jack shit about cooking, you know?
Sounds like
And
me in Taiwan, dude.
yeah,
I
and
didn't know anything about Taiwan when I got here. I didn't know anything about English teaching when I got here
yeah,
to tell the truth, even though
yeah,
I took like a certification course before I came over. I still didn't really truly know the game, you know.
yeah.
It's hard, man. It's really hard to immigrate to the other side of the world where no one speaks your language.
Yeah, and there was Chinese people in Vancouver back then, but they spoke Cantonese.
Yeah,
So yes,
there's if people don't know that, just for the viewers, if people don't realize, Chinese is not a language. There is
yeah,
no language called Chinese. Like
yeah,
that's not a thing.
yeah,
What you have is Mandarin, which is the dominant language, right, of China. And then you have all these other regional languages, or what people like to say are dialects, right? You have
mhm,
Cantonese, you have you have Taiwanese, or you have Hoklo, you have Hakka. There's a bunch of different ones, but you get my point, right?
mhm,
They're all very different. just because you understand one doesn't mean you understand the other. Like, especially between Mandarin and Cantonese, they are extremely different.
Hmm. I would say there are some words and phrases that are similar. So I would almost, I think it's even they're more different Mandarin and Cantonese than Portuguese versus Spanish, for example.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
more like
It's you between like Italian and Spanish, let's say. You
yeah,
could
something like that.
probably do it. You could probably understand.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
I definitely think between Mandarin and Cantonese, there's really no way. Like
yeah,
you'll miss so many things.
yeah. Well, especially for me, I'm gonna go off on a quick tangent here. I worked for this Hong Kong plumber, and he spoke Cantonese, and his English wasn't that good, and his Mandarin wasn't that good, and it was so hard just working with him. And of course,
Really?
yeah, and he came from my dad's generation,
Okay,
and
so he's an older guy.
he's an older guy, and he of course, I'm sure you can imagine, like they just yell, they just treat their employees like crap, right? Like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
the way that
In
they
Asia, the boss is like the
king,
yeah, he's the king, he's the emperor,
yeah.
and you're just nothing. You're like a serf, you're a slave.
Yeah, and I feel like Hong Kong might be even, like, harsher than Taiwan, like, it's just their culture where they just say whatever they want, people
It might be. I just feel like the language itself,
yeah.
Cantonese, is a very harsh language.
It
Like
is,
when people speak it, and I've heard this from people who are themselves like Cantonese,
yeah,
like originally from Hong Kong or Guangdong province in
yeah.
China. They'll tell you that when their relatives or when they're speaking Cantonese, it sounds like they're fighting, and
Yeah,
they're not even
yeah,
fighting. Like they're just having a conversation.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, I know, that's how it is, that's how everybody,
but they
takes it.
sound like they're arguing with each other about some shit. Like
Yeah,
just
but
because it's just loud. It's a loud language and it's very harsh.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it definitely comes from, that culture of, being squeezing, I don't know, however millions of people into this small, area, and everybody's just
Hmm.
shouting at each other, right? But imagine a boss actually yelling at an employee in Cantonese, right? And
It'd
even
be
when he was
terrifying.
and even when he was yelling at me in Cantonese, I didn't understand what he was saying, so that he would
Could
yell.
you kind of slow him down? Like, hold on, dude, hold on. Mandarin, Putonghua. Like, give me.
Oh, no, there's no time for that. I mean,
No, just
we he
not available.
no, we were working, new construction, so we were laying new pipes for, houses, and so, this was like, a very serious job, and it was like they like to squeeze everything in a short time frame sort of thing, and so, yeah, no, it was tough. I forgot why I brought that up, but, yeah, my dad came here, he didn't speak English or Cantonese, and, he had to deal with all of that, But,
Yeah.
I was
So
yeah,
your so just to get it back on track,
yeah,
because I think I was following. Your grandfather kind of ordered him to stop his job,
yeah,
where he was kind of like being a baller there, making the good
yeah,
money as a machinist, right?
yeah,
Kind of ordered him like, you're gonna come over here and you're gonna learn how to cook and be a chef all of a sudden. And
yeah,
so your father just has to deal with that. Like, all right, I'm gonna go to the other side of the world. I'm gonna
yeah.
start like learning how to chop vegetables and like learning
Well,
how to run a restaurant. Like,
he actually learned in Taiwan. So he finished his military conscription, and he wasn't just
right back then, what was that? Was that like mandatory
yeah.
2 years, right, of service, national
Um
service?
yeah, I think it was minimum 2 years, but I think so he was actually military police. He wasn't just regular army. Uh,
MPs, totally different.
he was Sinbing. I don't know if you've heard that term.
I
Yeah,
have not.
okay, so that's MP in Mandarin.
Okay.
Um, and so they have, I think, 3 years service actually. And he wasn't just a military police; he was a sergeant training the military police privates, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
right, and so when he went back to start from scratch to learn how to cook in the kitchen, there were these kids that were came from really poor families. They might have even been orphans, where the master chefs just took in as kids and then trained them when they were kids.
Like as an apprentice.
As an apprentice, that they pretty much, yeah, grew up in the kitchen basically.
Wow. Okay.
And these kids that were 15, they would, they were in their home environment. They were just like be
Yeah, they
throwing
must have been
things.
incredibly skilled and incredibly comfortable.
for sure, but they would be like throwing shit at my dad, you know,
Well,
like,
because
oh,
they're still kids. Kids are kids. I mean,
yeah, for sure, for sure. And my dad just went through 3 years of ordering like military police soldiers on what to do, and for him to come back into being treated like shit by this
right. The
15-year-old.
military discipline probably didn't mesh very well, right?
Yeah. So he had to, you know, start from scratch for another 4 years learning how to cook and come here and deal with a bit of racism and like discrimination. And you know, after all that, right, I remember what my original point was. When he finally opened his restaurant and started to make a good living, he still gave my grandfather money every month just to live because he was
You
a
know
child.
what? To this day, people still give money to their parents every month here in Taiwan. It's what they do.
Yeah,
It's an integral part of the culture here.
yeah.
It is still that way. It's not changed at all.
Yeah, but if I were to explain to say like you know just somebody in America or in the West who has never set foot in Asia or knows nothing about Asian culture, if I told him that this physically abusive man that just beat him into a pulp, that my father when he grew up still gave money to him every month, that'd be hard for them to grasp. Would you
Yeah,
not
because
agree?
they don't understand Confucianism.
Yeah.
They don't
But
get it.
they might even go so far as to say, "Oh, what a pushover! Like, oh, you're a slave to your parent or whatnot," right?
Yeah, and they would say that, and in their minds they would be correct, but they don't understand Confucianism. They don't have the context, right,
Yeah,
to understand like just the way things work here.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. They,
it's
yeah,
extremely different. It really is. I can't understate that enough. Like I said earlier when we were talking privately, that Taiwan and probably just broadly East Asian culture is high context culture. There's so many different tiny little details and
hmm
things that you need to pay attention to and that you need to respect and follow. You know,
hmm
it's just not
yeah,
like that in the West. It's so much more relaxed and kind of freestyle. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of you know emphasis on individual liberties, and you know this is your
Yeah,
life.
right. The
You do what you
personal
want.
freedom and all that stuff. Here,
Yeah,
it's a much more collectivist mindset. You know,
yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't mean you can't do what you want to do, because believe me, I run into my share of freaks and geeks on the train and the bus going to work and whatnot. Right? People have their own style, but
Yeah.
overall, yeah, it's definitely more of a collectivist mindset here. You
hmm
know, it's reflected in the way that they interact on a social level, and it's also reflected in how the government does things here too. I mean, um, we have NHI here, we have national healthcare here. It's
Oh
a very
yeah,
collectivist thing. America doesn't do that. You know, America's
yeah.
like the home of individualism, rugged individualism. You know, there's
Right.
just one example there. I mean, I realize that it's different in Canada, but that's just one thing right there that I can point to that is
Yeah.
very different, you know,
Yeah.
and that's very collectivist.
Yeah. So as an American, how do you view I don't know, I don't know if you had any thoughts of you know, nationalized healthcare before you went to Taiwan. Did when you experienced that in Taiwan, what were your thoughts going into that?
Right. So growing up, I had healthcare. In that way, you know, I was privileged. I came from privilege, right? Because a lot of people don't have that, right? I acknowledge that. That was a good thing. It's very lucky for me because I
Mm,
had um, quite a number of like medical problems as a very young child. You know, I had a blood infection. I had to have my appendix taken out. It burst, and there was
mm,
like toxins running through my blood, and I had a
yeah.
blood infection. So there was a lot of things I had to deal with,
hmm
but it was able to be taken care of because my parents had jobs. They had pretty decent jobs, and they were able to have health care,
mm,
right? But you know, you get older, and eventually you have to get healthcare on your own. And I got to be honest with you, if I was in America, there's probably no way I would be able to provide healthcare for myself and my wife and my two sons. And so when I was coming over here to Taiwan, I was actually really excited and happy about being able to acquire NHI, or National Health Insurance, here in Taiwan.
Yeah.
And I've used it several times. My wife has used it several times, obviously, because we have two little boys, right?
Right.
It's pretty freaking obvious, right?
Right.
And it's been successful. It's been very successful. I've been treated well here with doctors. I've always had good outcomes. My costs, when it comes to money, they have been so trivial, I can't even remember them. I can't even tell you the price because they were so trivial. Like, it's like when you go and buy I don't know, you buy some shit at a corner store. It's so cheap you don't even remember. Like, it's of no consequence.
Does that
The only thing I can really remember is I had elective surgery here. I had an elective procedure,
right.
but even that though, I was able to get that done very quickly, and the price was not that bad when you look at it in context.
So, I forgot what quite. Oh, right. Does being a foreigner have any disadvantages with the healthcare? Or I don't know if you're a citizen already, but
As far as I can, as far as I can tell, no.
okay.
Except for I believe that I'm pretty damn sure that if I was married to a foreign woman, let's say theoretically, that when my children were born, we would not have gotten all the benefits that we got from the government. You know, the reason I believe that we get all these benefits from the government for having children here is because my sons and my wife are all Taiwanese citizens.
Right.
Right. So I think that would be the difference there. But as far as like medical treatment, I don't think the doctors or the nurses are going to treat you any differently at all for being a foreigner here. That's no. Like, I've never even heard of that. I've never seen that. I've never heard of that at all. Doctors are doctors. Everyone's a human being, and they have an oath to take care of everyone.
Right. Well, I just mean in terms of pricing and costs.
Pricing, I assume it's the same. I might be wrong, but if I am, then it can't be that significant. I don't believe that the price a foreigner would pay for a procedure or for a medication would be too terribly different from what a Taiwanese person pays.
Right. And just to be clear, like when I say foreigner, I don't mean necessarily white person. I mean even if
No,
I were
you mean like legally. That's what
yeah.
you mean.
Yeah.
Your definition is the correct definition.
Right. Okay.
Foreigner does not mean, and I'll be the first one to declare this.
Yeah.
Foreigner doesn't mean white, guys. It doesn't. Okay. Foreigner means foreigner. Look it up in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary.
Yeah.
The word white doesn't appear at all.
For sure.
It's not a thing.
Because
thanks for getting me on that little tangent.
No. Because I wonder.
It bugs you, but
sorry, you cut off there. What did you say?
No, I'm just saying it bugs me too. I'm sure it bothers you as well. It's annoying, right? It's annoying.
Because I'm pretty sure I'm not a Taiwanese citizen. So I wonder if if I got in an accident in Taiwan, how that would work for me.
Okay, so if you did come here, I don't know. You've been here before, is that correct?
Yeah, but no longer than like a couple weeks.
Okay, so I mean, obviously, when you came here, you had to get a visa, right? Because you don't have the passport and you don't have all that stuff, right?
I don't think so, actually.
Really? I'm almost. I don't want to be that guy, but I'm almost positive, dude. Because even if you are a citizen and you have the passport, if you lose your household registration here, your hukou, that you literally have to get a visa to enter Taiwan, even if you are a citizen.
Huh. Because I
know that might sound wild, but I'm pretty sure you do. And when I say visa, let me clarify. I don't necessarily mean you have to go and pay and get like a special page in your passport. I mean, I even mean just like a landing visa where they stamp your passport.
Oh, at the airport?
Yeah, right, where you get the 90-day landing visa or the 60-day landing visa or whatever it is.
Probably that, maybe, yeah. Because I when you said visa, I was thinking about going to Brazil.
Yeah, I should have probably clarified that, but
yeah,
that is technically it's called a landing visa. It is a visa technically.
Probably then. I don't remember distinctly because I don't know too much about these things. I don't travel that much. Probably, yeah.
It's all legal stuff anyway.
Okay.
It's not that interesting.
Yeah. So, because I know that America it's healthcare is a divisive issue,
Oh,
right?
incredibly.
Yeah.
People probably hate me for saying what I've already said, you know,
Hmm.
just because there's some people who are so far on one end of the spectrum of American politics that they hear any mention of a nationalized healthcare system and they think, no, no, absolutely not. That's government healthcare. I don't want that. That's insane.
Hmm. Yeah, I wonder. I mean, having been, a patient or having been used the nationalized healthcare in Taiwan, does that make you think maybe there's a way this could work in the United States?
Okay, so we're getting into that territory.
Yeah,
I'm,
sorry.
I'm about to piss off some American viewers here. Yeah, I'll just say it. I am on the left side of the spectrum of
Okay.
American politics.
Yeah.
I'm probably an international centrist.
Hmm.
I'm pretty moderate. In my own personal opinion, I don't feel the need to battle everyone, but I do feel the need to make good points and to stick up for myself in an argument.
Hmm.
And I do think that if America wanted to do, for example, what's called Medicare for all,
Hmm.
we could accomplish that.
Hmm.
We could definitely accomplish that. America can invade all these countries all around the world and spend trillions of dollars, but we can't possibly provide for healthcare for everyone, or at least get the basics, or at
Hmm.
least subsidize a good portion of it. No, that's just no. I don't agree with that. I don't believe that's true.
Hmm. Yeah.
Just my personal take. Go ahead,
Yeah.
everyone. Hate on me. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I am the last person to be, want to talk about this because I don't really know that much about it. But
Well, you have Canadian healthcare, right?
yeah, I
That's a national healthcare system, is it not?
it is. I think I'm still under my parents' plan. I think we have a family plan. I think it's. I think
Are
it
you
might
able to
be.
choose different plans and stuff?
So my province of British Columbia is a little different. Yeah. So yeah, it's funny. Like we actually when I see Canadians that come from different provinces come to BC, they always they'll talk about how like this is the province where you have to pay for your healthcare. And
That's
it's
funny.
yeah,
Although
and
it's still probably cheaper than the US, but carry on.
well, I can comment on that, but yeah, so we call it MSP, Medical Services Plan,
Okay.
and I think my plan would be with my family, and I think it's something like
But this is
70.
a choice, though, just to make the point. This is, you can choose certain things. Is that right?
Even then, I feel ashamed that I don't know enough, but yeah, I think
You have
you
some sort of
can.
idea, right? I mean,
Yeah, you have some choice. It
okay,
doesn't
because
just
in
come.
Taiwan, it's very, I mean, when I say we have national health care, I really mean everyone here is the same. We are all equal. Like,
Mm,
NHI is the great equalizer here.
wow.
We all have the same health card and we all have the same procedure. When we go to a doctor's office, they take our little card with the chip and they plug it into their system and they bring up our records and that's it.
Yeah.
We all kind of get the same stuff. Like, um, I, I've never really thought about, and I've never really heard people talking about plans or this or that or purchasing special things, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, this province is really awfully corrupt.
That was not my
Yeah.
point.
No, 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 I know, but it is.
He said it, everyone, not me.
Yeah. And no, people from this province will agree.
Okay. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. I'm not well versed on Canadian politics other
No.
than some things that I've talked with my friend about regarding Trudeau
Oh,
and
okay.
Rob Ford,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
I maybe we'll go
So,
into that sometime.
yeah, let's not
Um,
go too deep, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Um,
let's not piss everyone off.
or shall we? No.
Maybe.
But so far as I remember, the last I checked, our plan was like 75 bucks for my parents and I.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. So just for an example, they take it out of my salary, or not salary. They take it out of my wages every month, and it can vary for me.
Okay.
But for my family members here, it's fixed, and it's the same amount. Excuse me. It's the same amount every 2 months we pay.
Okay.
And I think it's a little, it's probably a little less than $100 American to cover my wife and 2 sons for 2 months of healthcare here.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just gonna interrupt. I'm just gonna check on the gutter services guy just to see if everything's
okay. No worries.
Let
me talk to them about this here beer.
Yeah, absolutely. This is perfect time. Okay.
Perfect time. There we go. All right, guys. So Daniel's going to go ahead and take a little break there, and I'm going to talk to you guys about this. I didn't really get to introduce it very well before, but this is Max. This is from New Zealand. My buddy Sean gave this to me. It's very, very good. I quite liked it. I've been drinking it through this live stream here. It's good. It's about 5% alcohol. And yeah, I definitely recommend it. That's the Max Interstate American Pale Ale. It's legit, guys. New Zealand does really, really good stuff. And if you want to get your hands on some of this New Zealand stuff here in Taiwan, then you can go ahead and check out the description box of this video when it's been fully uploaded. And I've written everything out. So yeah, cool. I recommend it. Max in Taiwan, New Zealand beer. Yes, totally. Here, let me show you what that guy's, what this looks like here. See, it's got a nice color there. It's a really nice color. It's a good beer. It's light, but it's not too light, and it's a little bit darker than, like, you know, a Budweiser or a Taiwan beer would be, and it's got a bit of flavor, and I like it. It's legit. Appreciate it. It's good. Anyway, I'm liking this. This is really cool for me that I'm able to do this, like, Google Hangout live stream with Daniel here. This is really cool, and I hope you guys like it too. And I see that we have 3 viewers here. And yeah, if you guys, I don't know if you guys can, but if you want to, you can go ahead and enter some questions or comments. Let's see if I can find that. Let me see if people have been commenting. I can't see. Okay, so nothing there. All right, I'm not sure. Well, if anybody's watching and if you want to comment, you can comment if you want to. I think I'll be able to see it. Let's see. To list all available commands, enter chat. I'm not sure. I'm kind of learning how I go, or I'm kind of learning as I go, guys. So bear with me.
Back.
Daniel's back. Hello, Daniel.
Sorry, is that a long time?
Oh no, that's cool. That actually wrapped it up right there. I was just kind of bantering.
Okay, good.
You know, we actually have 3 people watching right now.
Yeah, I wonder.
Before we had 4. I don't know who the hell would be watching right now, but thank you, everybody.
See the comments. Hello from Berlin.
Oh, wow. Okay. You can see comments? I can't even see comments.
Oh, really?
Really? Okay,
yeah.
Dude. Okay, hey, read the comments. Read the comments.
Okay, yeah. If you actually go on a separate tab to your YouTube channel and mute your stream, you can look at the comments there, but I'll read it out loud.
For me.
Hello from Berlin. Hey from the UK. That's also written in law. I wonder what he was referencing there because we didn't pay attention.
Okay, well, hello to the German, and then hello to the British person.
It's not free healthcare though. National healthcare though is socialized medicine, and well, the reason the privatized healthcare is so high is because of high government regulation. Can I ask you?
Yeah, that's fine. Some people want to argue that. That's fine. Yeah. I'm not going to get too deep into that.
He goes further. Can I ask you though, with these socialized medicine, how come it's so discriminate towards different medicines and it's dominantly Western medicine? I don't know what he's talking about.
Interesting question. Discriminatory towards medicine.
I guess maybe they have a preference on what.
Yeah, I don't know what they mean. If they mean like like real drugs versus like traditional Chinese medicine, maybe?
Yeah, I
Maybe
guess so.
that?
Yeah.
Or maybe like what's it called? Like the natural healing, like the homeopathic, maybe?
Perhaps, perhaps.
Maybe, I don't know. But here, I'll just kind of insert myself into that.
Yeah.
Look, if you're a doctor, if you're a real doctor, you got to do what
What
you
you
got to
gotta
do
do.
to make your patients recover and feel good. And you got to use things that have been scientifically tested and proven. Like I
Yeah.
can't, some guy comes in and he says he's bleeding. I can't start burning
Yeah.
a sage
Talisman?
bush and
Yeah.
and meditating or something. Like I don't mean to be offensive, but we have to use what's scientifically proven. Like
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't want to be a dick, but that's just how it is. Like
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. That's an interesting conversation, though. What do you, as a Taiwanese Canadian, what do you and what's your experience with Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine?
Um, yeah, it's interesting. So I was born with a condition, um, where I've been to, I guess the first doctor I went to was Western medicine. I mean, and I would have been like 4 or 5 or 3. And so I don't remember it that much, but his main sort of thesis was, because it wasn't that bad during that time, his main thesis was, oh, when he gets to his teen years, he'll be exercising more and he'll be fine. And that was pretty much probably the last time I went to a Western, or, a Western doctor for that condition. And ever
What,
since,
sorry, just to, what exactly are we talking about
talking about,
here?
it's this thing on my,
Give me the context.
yeah, yeah. It's this thing on my, you know what? I'll just say it. I don't care. It's one of my nipples, was born, uh, I guess one was larger than the other and darker.
Okay,
So,
hey, don't worry about it. Hey,
yeah,
look
I
here.
don't care. It's
Full
cool.
disclosure, when I was a little boy, like I already said, I had appendicitis, I had a blood infection, all this stuff. I broke my nose. My nose is not
Oh, wow. Yeah.
perfectly, it's not perfectly centered. So,
Yeah.
you know what, dude? Don't worry about it. If you got
Yeah.
some kind of nipple thing going on, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, no. So
You know?
that was that. Yeah, so you had one that was completely normal and one that was darker and bigger. Um, and
That's
it wasn't a
nothing.
big deal.
It's nothing.
Well, it was nothing when I was 3 and 4 or 5, but as I got older, it got worse.
Okay.
And there would be, I don't know, you could tell that there was like bacteria on it and whatnot. And so I went to one Chinese medicine practitioner, TCM.
Hmm.
I think he said it was eczema,
Oh, eczema.
eczema.
Right, right.
Um,
It's a
and
skin
then
condition for people that don't know.
yeah, and then he gave me medicine to eat and a cream, and sometimes it worked. It's also probably because I didn't apply it regularly and I didn't eat my medicine regularly. It's probably my fault.
Okay.
But I've past couple of years I've been to another TCM and she said it's not eczema. It's I have a weak liver,
Oh, okay.
and the breast is connected to liver. So if you have, you know, uh, a condition with your breasts, there might be,
Something wrong
connections,
with your liver.
something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So you have tried TCM.
yeah, I've tried
Okay.
acupuncture as well.
Really? All
Yeah.
right. I've never done that one. I've actually been myself to do TCM, I think twice.
Hmm.
And they always gave me like it's always a bunch of little packets of like a mixture of like herbs and spices that you have to drink. It's really bitter.
Is it this powder, like this
Yeah,
brown
it's like
powder?
a
Yeah.
really dark brown
Yeah.
powder
Yeah.
that they
I have the
tell you
same
to
thing.
drink with like warm water, and it's
Yeah.
supposed to help sort you out whatever your problem is, right?
Yeah.
Just my personal belief, I think TCM is probably, majority of it is probably placebo.
Oh,
Meaning
okay.
that, well, I mean, feel free to disagree with me,
I
but,
don't know. Yeah.
but basically, when I say placebo, what I mean is it works because you think it works.
Hmm.
You feel better because you think you feel better. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's a mental game,
Yeah.
basically.
I have heard people say that. I couldn't really tell you. I mean, when I'm using the medicine, I don't know if I actually believe that I'm gonna get better. Um, when I'm, taking it. I don't know actually. I'd have to go back and try to remember. But
Mhm.
there was
Are you doing okay now?
it's back and forth.
Okay,
Sometimes
it
it
comes and goes.
yeah, sometimes it
Okay.
gets troublesome and but there was a time when I was being a good boy and consistently regularly taking the medicine and applying the medicine as I should, and there was a dramatic difference for a while that I didn't experience ever. I don't know I don't know if it was the medicine I was eating. I don't know if it was the medicine that I was applying or if it was the acupuncture. So I really couldn't tell you. And when she applies the acupuncture, I'm not thinking that this is going to cure me. I don't.
Okay,
I
so you
don't.
don't have it in your brain like this kind of
Yeah.
faith in
No.
the
No.
practice.
No.
Okay.
Not really. I don't think so.
So for you, just to ask, just for you, it's results, right? It's all about the results.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you can see that something is actually changing, then it's working. That's how you view that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah. So
evidence in results.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, like I don't know if it was the medicine that I was eating, applying, or the acupuncture, and I'm not obviously a scientist, so I really couldn't tell you the objective truth on that. So
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. I'm not a doctor either. I'm not saying that there's nothing valuable in traditional Chinese medicine. There might be some herbs or spices that do have some kind of benefit to you if you include them in your diet. I don't know. I
Yeah.
have no idea, you know?
So I'm gonna read you the next couple of comments.
Okay, what are we getting?
There's somebody Mariano Glass. I don't know if
Oh,
it's
I know him. I know him.
he
Good buddy.
said he said told you Brian via Instagram. I don't know what he's talking about there.
Told me via Instagram. Uh-oh.
He maybe I think he means like I told you so.
Let me see. Let me see if he wrote me something on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again,
Wait a sec.
meanwhile, the British guy has said, "Yeah, I get that, but well, why force from people's wages to
Okay,
fund
sorry.
something?"
I just read
Yeah.
what he wrote on Instagram for me in a private message here. Okay. He's just
Okay.
talking about he's saying yeah, you can read the YouTube comments on a Google Hangout.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Next time I'll be more with this guest.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a noob.
And so, okay, I don't know if you want to further. I'll just read it. Shouldn't. Okay, yeah, yeah, I get that, but well, why force from people's wages to fund something? Shouldn't healthcare be like a gym membership where you renew it? What right has government got to be in the middle of healthcare? And if healthcare is nationalized, it lacks comp. I think he means competition.
Competition. Okay. God, I really don't want to get really deep down into this. I'm not a politician, guys. I'm really
No,
not. That's
no,
just my personal view of it. You can disagree with me if you want to. That's fine.
yeah,
This show is really not about American politics. It's really
no,
not.
no.
But yeah, look, to whoever is writing that, do you see what the name is on there?
Lookout Tower Radio is his username.
Okay. Lookout Tower Radio. If that's your personal view of it, and if you think you got it right, then that's totally fine, dude. I don't mind that. I'm happy that you're here and watching and that you're writing these comments. That's totally cool. This is not really a debate I want to have here. I've stated what I believe, and you stated what you believe, and that's all good. And so I think we'll just leave it at that.
Well, it's not just like belief. Like it has been working in Taiwan for you, even from personal experience, right?
Well, yeah. Yeah, well, let's talk about that then. So let's take America out of it. So
Yeah.
just my personal experience here, like I said, has been positive with the
Mhm.
NHI. It's always been positive.
Mhm.
The costs have been minimal. I can't even recall them, like I said. I've had an elective surgery here. I didn't have to wait really at all. The doctor, when I went in to get the elective surgery and he did the consult, he was ready to go the next day. The reason we
Mm.
did it a week later was because that was my choice. I
Mm.
told him because of my work schedule that I wanted it to do it then. And what a lot of people say is with like national healthcare systems is that the government decides and then they make you wait for everything. Well, I didn't have to wait at all.
Mm.
Just my personal experience.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's that. My wife had the 2 C-sections. Those were done successfully. She's healthy. There was no complications with that. My son had jaundice. My second son was born with jaundice. That's when your liver is not working properly, and they
Mm.
have to put you in this kind of glass box with these kind of blue lights
Mm.
to kind of like jumpstart your liver, right?
Mm. Right.
And get it working. And that was done successfully. I had my scooter accident. You all can check out that video.
Mm.
And I had an ambulance come and pick me up, and that didn't bankrupt me.
Mm.
So, I'm just, people can say what they want, but everything here has been positive. Everything
Mhm.
here has been successful. Everything here in terms of cost has been minimal to the point where I can't even remember it. You
Right.
know, the only
Sometimes
thing that I can recall, the
no,
only
go
thing
ahead.
that I can recall is how much I paid for my elective procedure. And
Okay.
if somebody really wants to call me out on that, I'll go ahead and give that detail out later. But yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I think an ideology or a principle might sound nice in theory, but sometimes in practice, there's just it's not you don't want to dedicate yourself to the principle too much. Sometimes just things just work out in principle and practice. So I don't know. Sometimes I'm kind of talking over myself, but sometimes people would just repeat the same talking points, right? But then when you take
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
when you
People
take an
kind of get stuck
example,
on their talking points. That's true.
yeah, when you have an example like Taiwan, it makes you think like maybe Americans or there's something in America they're not thinking it. They're not thinking it in a way that Taiwan has successfully done it. There might be like a disconnect
Yeah,
there.
I really feel that there's like a reluctance to kind of look at or take advice from anyone
Mhm.
in America. It's like we people just don't want to hear from anyone on it. It's like we have our own personal business, and don't you dare get involved. It's kind of that way. Um,
Mm.
which is frustrating because I feel like you should kind of look around you and see what's working and what's not working and kind of go from there, right?
It kind of sounds similar to the Taiwanese people that you were talking about before. How when if you criticize their driving, they're like, "Well, this is just how things are here," you know?
Yeah, well, there's plenty of people like that in America, right? Is they
Yeah.
hey man, it's America, love it or leave it, like
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Let's
Just
let's get away from that then.
yeah, yeah.
We're getting hung up on this healthcare stuff here.
Yeah.
I feel like a politician over here trying to argue my point. I don't even have a
um,
point. Like
yeah.
other than I'm living a good life here with a decent standard of living. So you
Yeah.
may have your theories, but I have my actual life experience. So
Mhm. Just to warn you, I do have to probably get going in about 5 to 10 minutes.
okay, no worries, no worries. We can
Yeah.
kind of we can start wrapping it up. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a good conversation, man. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
It's good stuff. We'll
Yeah,
have
man.
to do this again. This is probably the first of a series of what will we call this, podcasts? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
definitely. So yeah, just let me ask a few questions then.
Sure.
How many when is the first time you came to Taiwan?
Oh man, I feel like perhaps even when I was an infant, my mom didn't want to leave Taiwan, first of all. He had to, being married to my dad, even though my dad doesn't necessarily want to get married either. It was my mom's dad that said, "Oh, if you're gonna leave Taiwan," and he was talking to my dad, "then you have to marry my daughter first before you leave, because oh, maybe if you go to Vancouver, you're gonna find someone else or something."
Right,
Right?
right.
It was a traditional mindset back then. And so my mom, it was never in my mom's plans to leave Taiwan, and so
Okay, so she was reluctant.
yeah, and so whenever she had the chance, she would come back to Taiwan and she would bring me and my sister.
Okay.
But I was an infant at that point, so I wouldn't have that many memories.
All right, so let me rephrase it then. So when
Yeah.
is the when did you start remembering it then?
So I have very faint memories of being in Taiwan, maybe from when I was 4, something
Okay,
like
so
that.
like a really little boy
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
Okay.
And then afterwards, we came back to Taiwan every 4 years because my mom wanted to vote.
Oh, all right, cool.
So
Good for mom sticking
yeah,
up for democracy. Okay.
yeah. Yeah, so we came back every 4 years for about 2 weeks.
All right,
And
cool, cool.
then
When's the last time you were here then?
so so I would have been 13 was the last time that we did the once every 4 years thing.
Okay.
Then I came back when I was 20, so that was 7 years that I didn't come back to Taiwan, and it felt like the forever, to be honest.
Wow. Okay.
And so that was 4 years ago. And yeah, so I haven't been back in 4 years.
All right. So last time was it 2014,
2015.
right?
It was January of 2015.
Oh, okay. So okay, January then.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Cool. All right
Yeah.
then. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And then so when you come, are you always in Taipei or?
That's probably where I'll begin. I mean, my immediate family is there. I'm pretty, yeah, I have like distant relatives in the south, so
Oh, in
probably,
Kaohsiung probably, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think my grandpa, well, he passed away, I think last year,
Oh,
but
shame. Sorry.
that's okay. Yeah, you know, but I think I think he had a plot of land in Taipei, like some small mountain or prairie
Wow.
or something
Okay.
like
If you
that.
own any kind of land here, that's awesome.
I think it's like a really small piece of land,
Okay.
where he grows, I think, Chinese herbs because he was a Chinese doctor, Chinese medicine doctor.
Oh, really? Okay. So it might be like a little like a garden or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice. Not too bad.
yeah.
Not too bad. You got to get back here. Do you have any plans?
Yeah, man. I mean, right now I'm a little low in cash, but if I ever,
Right. The freelance life is hard, right?
yeah, yeah, so I might spend the next year, saving a little bit more, and I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I like to go back and have like a purpose before I just go back randomly. Like I want to have like kind of like a, yeah, like a mission or a purpose of
Okay, like a goal, something to set
yeah,
out for.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Take, yeah, take some time to think about that. Do you have any suggestions or
Yeah, definitely. It depends on you. Where have you been? Where haven't you been? Right?
yeah.
Like, have you been to Green Island?
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, well then you should go to Green Island. Have you been to Orchid Island?
Okay, maybe if you say maybe if you say them in Mandarin, I might like.
Well, okay, so then translate. So then Ludao, and then what?
Oh
Like
yeah,
Lanyu,
I don't. I definitely. 绿岛 seems familiar. I don't know
right?
the second
Literally
one.
Green Island,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I should have thought about that. I don't know if I've heard of the second one though.
Okay,
So.
Orchid Island is way down south. It's like
Mhm.
an island off the coast of Taiwan, and
Okay.
it's mostly known for the Aboriginal people that live there,
Right.
and a nuclear waste dump.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, interesting in a bad way.
yeah, I mentioned my aunt teaches. She's a professor in
Yeah, oh my
Taiwan.
goodness. I
Yeah.
really want to talk to her.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't want to be pushy, but I would love to talk to her if you can set that up or help me set that up.
Yeah, she's actually here for a month. Or actually, she's going back in a couple of weeks. So maybe I can get her to come over and we can Skype where we can Google Hangout again.
Oh, that would be fantastic to get
Yeah.
her on the live stream. That would
Yeah.
be fantastic.
Sure.
We could do a whole thing about Aboriginal people.
Yeah, maybe you can prepare some questions and
Oh, I got it. I got it, dude. I got a whole bunch of them. Like, just right off the top of my head, like one after another. They are a fascinating group of people there.
Okay, yeah, for sure. She actually, for the first time, because growing up, she's always just been my aunt, you know, my dad's younger sister. I've never seen her in her academic environment.
If you catch her in her element, I bet that would be pretty cool.
Well, so when she came back this time, I know that she studied university. Oh, I sent you that graphic. She studied that university in Taiwan. She did her doctorate in like the UK.
Very accomplished.
Yeah, so she has connections into the university here that she attended. So every once in a while she'd come back and visit her old school and give a couple of lectures. And I actually attended one of her lectures I think last month. So it was definitely cool to see her in her element.
That's awesome, dude. That's really, really awesome. Yeah, I'd love to talk to her. We can set that up. That would be incredible. That would be really, really incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, she speaks English too, so.
Yeah. I'm so stupid. Like, I remember asking that, and then he's like, dude, did you read what I sent you? Like,
no.
like, yeah, she speaks English. She speaks it really well.
Like,
no problem.
Yeah. She has like a very tiny accent, but you know.
Oh, that's nothing. Hey, believe me. You know, I'm surrounded by people with an accent, so don't worry about it. Like,
Oh, so
my point is if I can understand you or not.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'll just I'll read the last two comments and maybe we should wrap this up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up then.
So Lookout Tower Radio says again the reason it costs loads of money in private healthcare is high government regulation. Plus, there is also a church type healthcare like what Rand Paul has worked on. Okay, well, just a tangent. I have heard of this Christian, like this really small church. They have like their own.
Is that when the church kind of sets up their own private healthcare thing within their own community?
Yeah. Within their own community, everybody pitches in. And,
I've heard of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Is he kind of going on about that?
Well, no, that was his last comment. So,
okay.
But I have met somebody from the States and she's Christian and she participates in that, and so and she liked it, so you know that's that. But the last comment,
that's fine. Again, that's totally fine. Sky Tower Radio, that's fine, dude. No problem.
Yeah, Mario Glass says, "Can I buy the beer in Taipei somewhere?"
Okay, Mariona Glass. I feel funny calling him that because it's not his real name, but I will hook you up with that beer. Okay. When I see you, pal, and I will see you in January because we've been talking to each other, I will hook you up with that beer. Guaranteed. No problem.
Okay. And I actually got to get going here.
Yeah. All right. So here, let's wrap this up then.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening to the first inaugural podcast with American in Taiwan and Taiwanese in Canada here, Mr. Daniel.
Yep.
And thanks a lot, everybody.
Yeah, thanks
Daniel,
for having me.
Any closing statements?
No, thanks for joining us. I look forward to this being a regular thing, and I can tell we have a good rapport. And let's do this again.
Yeah, awesome. Next time we got to get you drinking a beer though.
Yeah, maybe we'll find something. I have some Gaoliang actually.
Oh my God! Oh no! Don't torture yourself. Goodness sake.
Yeah. All right. Well, take care.
All right, buddy, take care. See you, everybody. Bye bye.
Good night.